And we're so happy to welcome you back for our final morning of programming, our Wake and Bake Brunch cooking party. I'm going to introduce our three chefs, and then we are going to get right into it. So first, I'm happy to welcome Stephanie Hua back. She's the founder and chief confectioner behind Mellows, a low-dose marshmallow brand based here in San Francisco. She's also the author of Edibles, Small Bites for the Modern Cannabis Kitchen, which I just noticed is the #1 bestseller in desserts and sweets on Amazon with almost 1,000 reviews. So give it up for Steph. She's going to be walking us through her infused green eggs and ham brunch recipe, which is beautiful and delicious. And next, I'm super happy to welcome Felicity Chen and Christine Yi, who are the co-founders of Potli, a company that creates ingredients for the elevated life. That is CBD-infused food and cooking essentials. In addition to honey, olive oil, chili oil, and sriracha, they recently launched a new product called Dream Honey, which sounds so dreamy. It's infused with CBN, CBD, and melatonin to help you get to sleep and stay asleep. I cannot wait to get my hands on some of that. And Potli is one of the few companies operating in both the recreational legal cannabis market and the legal hemp market. They will be showing us how to make a yummy avocado toast with chili oil, as well as their morning reset tonic, which I know we all need about now. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to let you ladies take over. Thanks so much for being here, everybody.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, this is so nice to see your faces. How's it going?
Good morning.
Good morning. So I am so excited to be throwing this at-home wake and bake brunch party. Brunch is one of the things that I probably miss the most during this time. And so, like Aria mentioned, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Stephanie Hua. I am the founder and chief confectioner of Mellows. We make gourmet handcrafted marshmallows in San Francisco, and we've been operating since 2015. We are super excited to announce actually the launch of our brand new product called Super Mellows. So yeah, we're really stoked. We're super excited for this. It is the first time we are expanding beyond a low dose product. So our traditional Mellows, as some of you guys know, are 5 milligrams per piece. These will be 100 milligrams per package. So we finally have something for our heavy hitters. And those of you who have graduated beyond the traditional low dose. So very excited about that. Today, we're going to be showing you how to make our green eggs and ham recipe. So it's one of my favorite brunch little bites because you can make them ahead of time or prep them ahead of time. And they're just these really adorable bite-sized little egg and prosciutto cup things. So the fun thing about them is you can, eat the vessel they're in. So they're going to be a really wonderful crispy prosciutto. So I'm going to adjust my screen real quick and so you can see my cutting board and what I'm working on here. So first off, you just need a muffin tin. And this is what we're going to form our prosciutto cups in here. So you're going to take some thinly sliced prosciutto, and you're just going to line the cups with them. So you want to make sure you get the sides and the bottoms. And when they bake, they will shrink a little bit. So you want to make sure that you are not stretching it too thin and, just kind of be generous with it. Have any of you guys made
stuff?
What was that?
That looks good already, Steph. I would just eat that, just like the prosciutto in the oven.
Right, or
with
just
nothing
the
even in it.
Just the prosciutto straight.
Yeah, not even in the oven, just straight. And congrats on Super Mellows. That's so exciting.
Thank you. Congrats on Dream. That's amazing. I love that you guys have really expanded your pantry line. I think that's something that we have received a lot of feedback on with the launch of the cookbook. Is people who are looking for really easy ways to cook at home, to make infused edibles at home. And what I love about Potli is that you guys have made it just really, really easy and simple for people to be able to experiment in their home kitchens. I think that our philosophy is, that cooking really is healing. And it just brings personally so much stress relief and joy to be in the kitchen and to be feeding people that I love. And I think when you throw in cannabis into that equation, it's that much more powerful and enjoyable.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, my favorite thing I think about Mellows is that it is an adult product, but it has such a childlike sense of wonder and joy to it, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
I feel like marshmallows are kind of nostalgic for like a simpler time almost sometimes. And they're always very festive. So I'm totally on the same page about bringing joy through food.
Thank you. Thank you. What are some of your favorite wake and bake recipes or ways to kind of start the day off right?
I think honestly the easiest way, and we're not doing our sriracha today, but for me, I think the easiest way is throwing sriracha on literally whatever I'm making, whether that's like hash browns or eggs or on avo.
Hash browns.
And our sriracha is made with nano E THC. So what's great is like by the time you finish eating your breakfast, you're like feeling it, you're feeling great. You don't have to wait for something to kick in. So that's my go-to.
Yum.
I'm a
Amazing.
tea person, so I'd make tea in the morning or a chia seed pudding that I can kind of leave overnight, and then by the next day, it's already ready and already infused, and I use the honey in both of that.
So good and healthy.
And Steph, how do you want us to do this next hour? Are we doing one at a time, like we're fully watching you right now, or are we?
Sorry. Let me get through let's do kind of like a rundown. So I think I'm going to just do 6 because obviously I don't need 12 egg cups for just me. And so I think the idea is I will get these in the oven, and then as they're in the oven, I'll prep the pesto topping, which is what is actually the infused part of our green eggs and ham. And then while they're baking, maybe Fel, if you want to jump into your beverage, then we can flow into Fel and then Chris's recipe. How's that sound? And then I guess by the end of all that, we should have like a full spread for you guys to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So, okay. So these are our prosciutto lined cups now. And to this, we'll just add 1 egg per cup. And I like to just crack them into a bowl first, just to make sure there's no shells in there, and just pop them in there like that.
Gorgeous. Steph, can I ask you a controversial question?
Of course.
Please.
For the vegetarians in the room, what would you recommend instead of prosciutto? Would you do like a kale, or how would you modify?
I've thought about that. So obviously they have to be okay with eggs, I guess, because that is a crucial part of this recipe. But I think instead of the prosciutto, anything that will kind of like bake up really crispy. So kale is interesting. If you got like a really big leafy, like a big leaf, and because that will crisp up if you bake it like at a higher temp. So I would say maybe like a 400, because this is right now at 3. It's going to go in at 375. So if you're doing kale, I would maybe experiment with like 400, 425, and see if you can get like, I would do the same thing, like mold it in there, and I would actually like par bake it. So get it crispy first, and then try putting in your eggs. I haven't experimented with this yet, so I can't vouch for whether or not that will crisp up as well. But the other thing is, I guess if you eat, if you're okay with dairy, you could actually make some really delicious Parmesan cups with this as well. Yeah, so you would just take your grated Parmesan. This is like a little bit more involved and we actually have a recipe in the book that shows you how to make these Parm fritter cups. But you would take a sill pad or like a parchment paper lined sheet tray, and put a little bit of grated Parm on there, kind of like make it into like almost like a large circular, maybe like about this size, and then bake it. The cheese will melt, and then it'll start to get golden. And then when you take it out while it's still pliable, you can actually form them into your cups, and then they'll harden that way. So you could like form them in here and then like add your egg and then kind of like finish them off in the oven. I don't know. Does anybody have other, Phil or Chris, do you have any ideas on like a good vegetarian
I think
swap in?
a classic is like a bell pepper cup.
Oh,
Just slice that baby open, and then
Oh,
if you're okay with
yeah.
eggs, just crack the egg in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
Oh, yeah. And then you've got your vessel again, like ready to go.
For sure.
Mhm.
And has suggested broccoli leaves or cabbage,
Uh-huh.
which sound delicious.
Awesome. Okay, so we have an egg in each cup now, and then we're just gonna do a little sprinkling of some pepper into each, and a little bit of minced garlic.
Yum.
And can y'all see what I'm doing? Okay, is that?
Yeah, perfectly.
And then each gets a spoonful of grated Parmesan on top. Okay, so then these are gonna go into our 375 oven now for about 10 to 12 minutes. You just want it to cook enough so that the eggs solidify, and you can adjust the time based off of how runny you like your yolks.
Mm.
And then I'm just gonna set a timer real quick here. And then while those are in the oven, we're gonna work on our pesto. So this is the infused part of the recipe. I love this pesto because you can really use it on so many different applications. You can put it on pastas or toast, or mix it into, I actually really love it on like cheesy grits. You can just kind of put some pesto on there. So it's just an amazing condiment, and it's a great way to use up some canna leaves if you guys have cannabis leaves on hand. And so you'll get all that wonderful THCA in there, or CBDA, and all those phytonutrients. And if you don't have cannabis leaves, you could just sub in with parsley. So I've got, or basil, or really, on the beauty about, I think, making edibles at home is that you can substitute things and adjust things to your dosage level, to your taste. But this is just a great, I think, form of infusion because the flavors of everything are strong enough to, to stand up to the flavor of the cannabis. You've got that punchy garlic, and there's going to be some lemon zest in there, and that kind of like saltiness of the prosciutto. So it just all melds into this delicious combination. So I'm just go ahead and chop up about a half cup of my parsley leaves. If you're using cannabis leaves, what I would do is I would roll them up. So like they're big fans, right? You would just roll them up, and then you can kind of chiffon on them and do beautiful little ribbons with them to get them broken down. And that's how I usually cut basil as well, or anything that is just super leafy.
I love watching you chop, Steph. It's very
Yeah.
very meditative. Yeah, to me.
Thank you.
Are we doing some ASMR?
Yeah, seriously, I should just like be recording the audio on this.
Ooh.
Okay, so we've got our, I'm just gonna put everything into a Pyrex cup here. Okay, and then to this, we're gonna do some thyme. So about a tablespoon after it's been chopped. And with thyme leaves, you can just kind of take them by the stem and pull off. You just want these little leaves in here.
Chef hack.
What was that?
That's a chef hack.
Oh. Yeah, you learn all sorts of tricks.
On the topic of green eggs and the ham, Steph, does Hazel like Dr. Seuss?
Oh my gosh. I mean, that was obviously the inspiration of the title of this book, because so we wrote this book. It came out in 2018. So we were writing it like early 2018, and Hazel was about 2 at the time. And if you know anything about kids, they will kind of fixate on things and just ask for things like repeatedly for a gazillion times. So we were pretty much reading Dr. Seuss, like Green Eggs and Ham, every day, maybe like 3 times a day. Okay. So again, you want to just take the time, and then you want to run your fingers like the opposite way the leaves are growing, and then they come right off. Yeah, picking herbs. So when I was working, I used to work at Laconda, which sadly has closed due to COVID, but it was this amazing restaurant in the Mission that served a lot of, it was Roman style cuisine. And so I did my externship there while I was in culinary school. And one of the thankless jobs that all externs get is basically picking all the herbs. So you're just like doing this for like hours on end, and you get pretty fast at it, but it's just like, oh my gosh, I need to fill like 4 quarts of this. Okay.
I saw a pretty funny video on some social media platform where these guys read Dr. Seuss, but they read it against a like trap hip hop beat, and it sounded just like Migos. Dr. Seuss was ahead of his time.
Yeah, there are a lot of fun ones out there. Like Dr. Seuss, trap, rap.
I've not heard of it. I need to like look into it.
I've got to send you some after.
So I've got some rosemary in here too. So now we have rosemary and thyme and parsley. And this is just going to be just like a super herbaceous mixture here. It already smells really, really good. And you just want to chop it so that you're not biting into like big chunks of herbs. Another nice tip about working with herbs or buying herbs. It's so funny, like talking about herbs that are not cannabis. But you when you buy them, to make them last longer in the fridge, I always wrap them up in like a paper towel, and then they last a little bit longer that way.
Do you wet the paper towel, or is it dry?
No, they kind of I use dry. When we were in the restaurant, we used to do just like very lightly wet ones, just laid like right on top. I think like we used to, like in a restaurant, they're going through it like much faster than you are at home. So I usually just use a dry paper towel, and then between like the condensation of things, it kind of just will end up working out pretty well there. So, okay, so I've got my herbs in here. Now we're going to do some lemon zest. So I'm just going to take my microplane and just get the zest off of it. And I love using lemon zest in dishes because it's just so aromatic and like lightly floral. And the zest is where, all those essential oils are. And so you really get like the best flavor from there. And then when you're doing this, kind of just be careful not to get too much of the white, the pith, because that can be a little bit bitter. So then I'm just going to add that right into my cup. And then we're going to do just a little hit of salt and pepper. And then
Steph, we have a question in the chat. Maybe I can pitch it to you. Has anyone used aged weed and noticed any difference in your infusions or effect?
Aged weed, like cured leaves?
I'm guessing like old weed, but Ramon, clarify.
Year old.
Year old.
Year old weed. Okay, so I think Like cooking with anything, the quality of your ingredient will come through in the final dish. And so you definitely want to make sure if the weed is old, like it doesn't have mold, or it like make sure that it's still, like if you would smoke it, you would eat it, right? And so I would say kind of like go along that lines, kind of like similar with wine, right? Like if you don't want to drink wine, you probably don't want to cook with that wine. And so I think, it's a good way to maybe experiment with, if it's like your first time making like a tincture or like an oil, so you're not, maybe potentially wasting some like really good weed. I mean, you for sure don't need to use like premium, but it should be possible according to like your own standards, right?
I'll also add that THC does with time convert into CBN. So sometimes if I use old weed, it'll make me sleepy and not high.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
if there's no mold and it's just aged and a bit dry, you can totally use it. But I don't know if the intoxicating benefits are going to be as strong, and you might be a little bit more sleepy than usual, even if it's a strain that you wouldn't consider as a sleepy strain.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
The nighttime edibles.
Yeah. So I just mixed in here 10 grams of our can of coconut oil. You can use you could use Potli oil. You could use olive oil. But that is our active ingredient here, and then give it a nice stir. And then I'm just going to top it off with just extra virgin olive oil, and I'm going to bring this to the 3/4 cup mark. And then I'm going to check on our eggs because I just saw that timer just went off. Okay, they're still not quite set yet, so I'm just going to turn them, give them a nice turn in the oven.
What are you looking for when they're coming out of the oven?
I'm looking for the whites to be set.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like my eggs runny. And so my ideal egg, maybe I can show you like an oven shot. Actually, let me see. So you guys can kind of see what, this is much easier on TV when they do this. All right. Can you guys see? Mm-hmm. So you'll see like the whites are still like kind of translucent. They're not quite set yet. My yolks are starting to get there. A good trick to kind of make sure like they're baking evenly is to make sure that your eggs are actually at room temperature when you're starting. So a hack, if you don't plan ahead, like I never really plan ahead on when I'm cooking things in the morning, you can take them out and just like soak them in some warm water, and then it'll just warm up the eggs. So, okay, so this is our pesto now, and you just want to make sure they're like really well mixed. Mm-hmm. And then each of those cups will get a tablespoon. So it's important to measure to 3/4 of a cup, because if you're planning on doing 12 servings, we've dosed it out according to the cookbook recipe to be a tablespoon of this pesto will be about 5 milligrams of THC. So while that finishes up, I think maybe Sal, do you want to jump into your beverage?
Yes, absolutely. So today we're making an AM reset tonic using 2 Potli ingredients, Potli apple cider vinegar, as well as Potli honey. Of course, these are all items that you should have, or you might have laying around your house. And so you don't have to sub them with that, but this is going to be a very CBD infused product. But also you can start with THC. It's all up to you. But I have the 2 Potli ingredients here today, Potli apple cider vinegar, as well as some Potli honey. I like to use a little bit of hot water to melt down the honey. Sometimes it's just easier to work with because it's so viscous. So I'll have hot water kind of ready to go. And then herbs that you have and laying around your house. So cayenne, cinnamon, pinch of turmeric, black pepper, and ginger. And if you want to elevate this and kind of make this like a spicy lemonade, just add some lemon, which is what I'm going to be doing today. So I'm going to first start with Potli honey, just because it's a little finicky. And I'm not someone that really measures, but 1 teaspoon, I'm going to be like, that's a teaspoon. So I start with the honey because I'm going to put the hot water in it to kind of melt it down. And I should probably bring you guys down to this level so you can see what my hands are doing. So there is 1 teaspoon of Potli honey in here and about 2 tablespoons of water. And we're mixing. And then after that, I'll put in kind of the star of the show, the funky apple cider vinegar. We only use fresh pressed apples. All of our ingredients are sourced from California. Mostly.
Can I ask you about your apple cider vinegar?
Yeah, please.
Can you tell us more about like where you source that and how you guys like why apple cider vinegar? Like of all the, like, I think it's just so fascinating.
So I think that like we source from Santa Barbara because it's really important for us to source all of our ingredients from here, so you can see it, from California. But we wanted to really create a whole pantry, right? So we started with our honey, which is something sweet. And then we have our olive oil, which is something more savory. And then our chili oil and our sriracha are spicy. And we don't have anything that's acidic or vinegar. And once we created this product, we really have, like, you really have all the ingredients, the essential ingredients to make anything in the kitchen, because you can alter if something needs more acid or something needs a little bit more heat, right? You can use our ingredients to create that. And what's so special, and Get Potli is a site that we have just, all different types of recipes, is that I find that you can use 3 or 4 of our ingredients to make a recipe, but the output of that recipe can look very different, even though you're using the same 3 or 4 ingredients. So that's why we decided to create this. But also, apple cider vinegar is like the mother of all wellness, right? It's really really good for health, like digestion, for your gut health. It supports your skin health. It can even help with like weight management and losing weight. So that's the reason why we were like, we really have to make this a part of our family. And so that's kind of where we went when thinking about that. It is only a CBD product currently. I think because mostly we think about people using apple cider vinegar in the morning, and that's why we made it a CBD product. But if there is enough interest, we might start playing with other cannabinoids like THCA, CBDA, things like that, so that we can bring it onto the cannabis side. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. And so here everything else is to taste. So this is turmeric. Again, I'm not someone that loves to measure, so I just kind of put a pinch. We've got cayenne to make it a spicy mix. And there's a lot of people that make fire cider. Fire cider is actually like an elevated version of this. You're actually like putting all of the peppers and everything, and you're like soaking it overnight over a few days, and then distilling out the apple cider vinegar at the end of it. That is, to be personally honest, a little much for me. I can't just drink apple cider by itself because it's so acidic. It kind of hurts my teeth and my gums. But when you add a little bit of water to dilute it, it makes it that much palatable for me. So yeah, this is like a simpler version of fire cider, if you will.
And the black pepper is really just to activate the turmeric, right, Phil?
That's correct. We have these Potli shot glasses here. I'm going to plate, and that's kind of it.
Oh, we have a question from the chat that I'd love to pose to you. Leslie says she has very high resistance to homemade edibles, and she's asking about dosage, either when you know the percentage of THC or not, and do home testing kits work?
Personally, I haven't used a home testing kit, but I think there's like the one called the T-Check. And I'm sure it it may not be like within, I don't know, like it's not going to be exactly right, but it'll be within 10%, or else, you can't legally like create a test that's at home. And yeah, if you buy a product like ours, when you put in a tablespoon, that's exactly 15 milligrams. And so that's why it's kind of, you're guessing out of it. But if you're making your own canna butter at home and then you're guessing, there's no way. I think using something like a T-Check would be very helpful to just get at least the range of where you're at. Because
we've used a T-Check. We actually used it when we were going through a lot of the recipe development for the cookbook.
Awesome.
Just because it was just like a faster turnaround. So we did send all of our infusion tests out for lab testing, just to be really sure that they were getting dosed correctly. Hi Leslie, this is your question. But yeah, the T-Check was pretty on par with what our lab tests came out as. So I think if you're planning on making edibles regularly for yourself, that it's a good investment. I think as far as if the percentage of THC and THCA that you're starting with your flower, you can estimate what that potency is going to be. In the book, we made it really super easy for people to not have to do a lot of that calculation and all that math, because people just want to like get right to making the edibles. So we make it really simple, where we say that if you start out with a flower that is combined THC and THCA about 23%, that if you follow what we call our master infusion recipes, which is our oil, our tinctures, that you will result in, Em is holding up that page right there. So we have a chart. So, we know that this infusion will end up being, I think it's something like, for our coconut oil infusion, it's about 6 milligrams per gram of that. There are ways to, let's say you don't have a flower that's 23%. You can go through the process of, figure out what that percentage is. I would estimate like a loss of like a 90% conversion when you decarb it. So then put that into account. And then when you make your infusion with that, then that like your entire batch of that is that percentage divided by the number of servings you're making with that infusion, and then accounting for minus 10% of loss on there. So I would say in general, like your problem is I think like more rare than most, where it's like, okay, like I can't ever get high on my edibles. And so, you can definitely, like, once you make your batch of infusion, you test on yourself, and then okay, I need to like really make this, like iterate on that, or like eat more pieces of that and make it stronger. I think most people kind of fall into like the other spectrum, where they're scared of over consuming, in which case, we always recommend people to just like start low, go slow. Obviously this crowd is much, you guys are pros. So I'm less concerned about your well-being with over consuming. But yeah, always like test on yourself. And if you're making them for guests, definitely like engage them on yourself before you serve anyone, especially if they're newer to edibles.
We have also a question about where you get your products tested. Do you use Enresco?
We use CW.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we've been partnering with CW since like Mellows R&D, just testing and messing around in my own home kitchen here. So yeah, we do use CW.
Awesome. Cool. Yay. And that's it.
Awesome. Cheers. Yeah.
Cheers. I want to cheers myself today.
I want to just, before you start, I just want to show what these look like here. So this is the final product, right? So you kind of just like test the eggs and see, like, just cook them to however you want. the goal is to get, like get that prosciutto nice and crispy. So I think next time I do this, I would line them a little bit outside more so that you get more of this like crispy edge here, which I love. And then
they're really holding shape.
Yeah. I mean, eggs are just, I mean, I'm a fan. Eggs are amazing.
I love
they're
eggs.
just like so versatile. Like, we eat a lot of eggs in this house. Okay. So then I'm gonna top this with my pesto.
Oh, I'm so hungry.
And then I'm just gonna cut into this. And then we recommend serving this with toast points, or I mean, like if you're gonna get fancy, like a buttered griddled brioche is kind of my ultimate. And then you'll see you kind of get this like delicious gooey egg. You get this amazing pesto, and then if you have some bread or something to just sop it up with, then you get all that yumminess in there. Actually, a great thing to make with this is avocado toast.
That looks so good. I'm so excited to make avo toast. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hit my toaster to get our bread going. I got olive bread from Whole Foods and it smells so good. As soon as you open the bag, it smells like olives. So I was thinking, like, what do we do with avo toast? It is very overdone. It is very millennial. But what I love about it is that it's kind of things that everybody has lying around. So I just thought it would be good to do it for this morning because chances are you have some avo, you have some form of bread, or you will come across in the future and can make it. So basically what I'm going to do first is, of course, open up my avocado now that the bread is in the toaster. I love admiring the avocado. Every time I open it, I'm like, yeah, that's a good avocado. And I've also gotten an heirloom tomato, last ones of the season, and made a couple of slices of it. So we've got those on standby. And what I like to do with the avo is to like unwrap it instead of scooping it out. Because I'm going to do like cute little slices today. And I just think that the presentation is nicer. So I like to just like unwrap it from its skin and then do
That's how I do it too.
slices. Yeah?
Yeah.
Isn't it just more fun? It just seems more festive.
I think you can get more out of it as well, I think, instead of like having to like scrape into the...
It's true. You waste a lot when you're like trying to scoop it. And sometimes if it's not like perfectly ripe, and scooping it doesn't really work, it's a very frustrating experience. Avocados are so finicky like that. But I'm just slicing.
It is actually like so this is going to be a random story, but so I used to do a lot of work as a food writer. And one time was invited to a conference put on by, it was like the California Avocado Board. And they had I don't know if you guys know Mary Sue and Mary Milliken. They're these chefs that are based out of LA, just like super old school, badass female, like one of the first female chefs in the scene. And they actually, so they did this whole meal like featuring avocados. It was like avocados 10 ways. It was like crazy like that. And according to the avocado board, that is actually the best way to peel your avocados. They recommend that you basically quarter them and then you can remove the seed really easily that way without having to like do that like really dangerous knife chop.
Yeah.
And then you can just easily, and if the avocado is ripe and perfectly ready to eat, it'll peel really easily. So you are actually doing it the 100% approved by California Board of Avocados way.
Who knew?
Oh my goodness. Well, thank goodness for that. So I've got my toasted bread, and if I'm trying to be extra with my avocado toast, I like to have some kind of creamy base under it. So I'm using like a boursin, garlic and herb. It's a gourmet cheese. But if you have chev, or if you have cream cheese or vegan cream cheese, like that works great too. But I just think that if we're being a little extra this morning, which we are, then I'm going to take about a half a tablespoon. But this is a pretty small piece of bread too. I'm just going to spread it on to the bread. So we've got our cheese layer. And then what I'm going to do is layer our tomato on it. And I got like a nice big chunk for the middle, so it fits perfectly within that bread. And then I'm going to take my avo and just spread it on. Let's see if I can do this like more on camera. Boom.
Beautiful.
Okay. Let's spread these boys. Lovely. And then I also got these Jacob's Farms edible flowers because it is virtual Meadowlands and I want it to be a little festive. So I'm just going to pick out some flowers that I like and then let's stick them on because that's always fun. I think what I'm going to do is actually chop off the stems so that they lay flat. But they're breaking on me. So maybe I shouldn't have chopped it, but that's fine. They're still pretty. I feel like edible flowers are like having a moment right now, which is very exciting.
Yeah, so I've well, while we were kind of in lockdown mode, I was home with Hazel for a number of months, and just for everyone's sanity, we would go on a ton of walks just around the neighborhood, and we live in North Beach in San Francisco, and so we would end up finding tons of nasturtium flowers just growing wildly in just around the city and in the parks, and it definitely did some urban foraging on those flowers. They're delicious and beautiful. Yeah.
I would like to go on a foraging hike with you.
Yeah. Anytime. Let's do it.
And then finishing touches, I'm doing some pink Himalayan sea salt. You don't need that much because we have the cheese layer. We're going to do a little bit of black pepper as well. And then last but certainly not least, I've got our Potli chili oil. Love chili oil. It is so delicious. It makes everything taste better. Love it on avo, love it on soups, even like in salads. It's great in stir fry, like literally anything savory. The chili oil adds a nice depth of flavor. It's not too spicy. It's a little bit nutty. It's more of like a flavored cooking oil and a finishing oil, and it tastes really, really good. I'm using our CBD version today because I am going to feed this to my parents, and they told me they did not want the THC version. But we're just going to drizzle that right on top.
Go some.
Ta-da!
Ooh.
There we go.
Yum.
We're all done. That's our chili oil avo toast. And yeah, I mean, it's really just assembly. So it was pretty quick, but it is my go-to and so good. Especially with like the cheese and then the tomato. So
that's incredible.
That's where we are.
Yay.
Yes.
Yay, yum.
That looked amazing.
Yum.
Thank you. I'm going to make about 5 more now, but yeah, it's such a good way to start the morning because it has like healthy fats, so it keeps you full and satiated, and you get a little tomato in there, and the chili oil is great. I think that CBD in the morning is a favorite too. I love a little bit of THC in the morning to get the creative juices flowing and things like that. But CBD is great because I feel like we often forget to self-care in the morning. I think we all know how we self-care at night and in the evening, but sometimes just being mindful and thoughtful about how you're taking care of yourself in what is often the most anxious part of the day is really helpful. And so I love it for that reason. I think that it makes us more intentional about what we're eating during breakfast.
Amazing.
Oh, and I think I froze for a second, so sorry about that.
No, you're great. Christine and Fel, will you drop in the chat where people can find your products? And will you also tell us a little bit more about your new dream product? That sounds so lovely.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Em. already there for us. Getpotli.com is where you can find all of our dispensaries in California. Oops, I only sent it to Sky. I didn't send it to everyone. Let's just change that. Okay, getpotli.com. We launched our Dream Honey. Well, it's pre-launch right now, but officially drops on Monday. It's available for pre-order on potlishop.com, but it's also going to be available on the Cannabis side as well. And it is our latest harvest of honey. We harvested about 3 weeks ago from my parents' backyard in Hayward. That's where all of our honey is sourced. And it's local, hyper local actually. And it's just still sticky, icky, gooey, delicious raw honey that hasn't been processed over 80 degrees when we're mixing. And so that honey is being used in our new Dream product. It has a bunch of CBN, 120 milligrams of CBN, 60 milligrams of CBD, and it really helps unofficially, although we cannot make health claims, it really helps me get into deep sleep and feel restored the next day versus oftentimes when you're taking sleeping pills, you're waking up the next day feeling really groggy, and you're really not actually getting into your NREM and helping your circadian rhythm balance out. And so sleep is the basis of all of our health. If we don't sleep well, we actually gain weight. We it affects everything, all other parts of our system. And so it starts with sleep when we're approaching our health. And that's why we really wanted to create a product around it. So yeah, I'm excited. We're going to be releasing a lot of fun pieces of content over the next few weeks. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're going to have different Go to Bed with Me, featuring different of our influencers that are our friends to show their routines of how they kind of start to start their wellness routine when they're going to bed. And I'm just really excited for this product to come to market.
I've been putting just a teaspoon into chamomile tea at night, just like literally this like stash packet. It is so good, and I've been sleeping so soundlessly. Like usually when I go to bed, I will watch a show, like an episode of a show to stop thinking, whatever. And sometimes if I'm lucky enough, fall asleep in the middle of it or 3/4 into it. But these days I'll turn something on, I'll watch 5 minutes and I'll be like, I can't do this anymore. I need to go to bed. And so it's nice to kind of cut out that bad habit that I've developed too.
Amazing. And Steph, will you tell us a little bit more about your new product?
Yes,
where we can find it.
Absolutely. Ashley, let me show you what they look like. This is ultimate early sneak peek here because we just opened up pre-orders for our retailers. And okay, so let me see if I can adjust this here.
Whoa.
Dang.
Okay, so this is what
those are big boys.
These are big boys. So this is our birthday cake and chocolate cake.
Ooh.
So each of the super mellows are dual flavored. And they are the equivalent of 4 of our traditional mellow sizes put together into one super marshmallow. So each of these are scored into 4 pieces. And this entire thing is 100 milligrams. So if you were to eat just one scored piece, that would be 25. This is
my God.
Strawberries and cream. So it's our strawberry marshmallow and a vanilla marshmallow, all topped with these impossibly cute little mini white chocolate chips. And then this is our brown butter sage and smoky vanilla is our third
Brown
flavor.
butter sage is my favorite, although all of them sound absolutely delicious in my mouth.
So thank you. And this is what the packaging will look like too.
Ooh.
And Steph, tell us about the infusion.
Yes, so we're super excited to be partnering with Frenchie. I see Frenchie there. Hi. So they're all infused with traditional pressed hash. We have always used hash in our infusion process because we really believe in the full, cannabinoid spectrum use of the entourage effect, and it's a solventless infusion. We think that it just gives you a better feeling high. I think it's more well-rounded. It's not as sharp of a feeling as I think some other types of infusions are. So, we're just stoked because Frenchie has been such a huge influence for us when we were first developing mellows and looking at different types of infusion. And so it's really exciting for us to be able to really partner with him on the launch of our supers here. So we're launching with these 3 flavors. This will be ready to hit shelves, I would say within the next week. We just opened up pre-orders for our retail partners. So definitely hit them up and tell them you want your supers in stock. And then for holidays, we'll be launching our peppermint bark in the supers as well. So I know that's something that a lot of people look forward to every holiday season, and that'll be a single flavor super mellow that's all peppermint bark.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yum. Well, thank you for the super sneak peek of both of those new products. We have about 10 minutes until our next panel. Would love just to hear a little bit more from each of you about how you think about food and cannabis, how you ended up in this space, anything about, your early years exploring, coming up with your recipes, what you think about new trends like keto diets, wherever you want to go with these last few minutes. Fel, I'm calling on you first.
All right. I mean, Potli was absolutely a passion project that was like born on accident. My dad was already beekeeping for my mom because she's an asthma patient, and that's why everything is harvested from my parents' backyard, because there's no way my Asian immigrant mother was ever going to smoke a joint with me. Maybe now, but it had to like ease her in. And so we just were like, well, my mom drinks her hot water with lemon and honey every single day. Why don't we put some weed into that? And we created our first product absolutely by accident. And our, I guess, like thesis for Potli has absolutely expanded beyond just the honey, right? We are sourcing ingredients that are local to California, hyper local to Northern California, including the cannabis, but it's all about bringing farm to table and really celebrating the incredible ingredients that are around us already. And, the industry is just kind of our playful take on, how do we evolve from the products that we currently have and see on the market that already do sell well, but, how do we evolve our tastes and include cannabis into everything that we do? And we eat 3 times a day, so how do we infuse that into our basic functions in pretty natural ways? Like, you use honey almost every single day, or at least I do. And you cook with olive oil almost every single day. And then, and plus both of these ingredients are fire and are from our own backyard. And we're so lucky to be in California to experience this, but I do really want to spread that to the rest of the world. And so we'll continue to innovate on, different cannabinoids that are coming out. We'll continue to bring you the best, amazing, artisanally sourced, family farmed olive oil and chili oil and sriracha and all of that. But it's just a celebration of both cannabis and food, cannabis being a superfood already. So just merging the two together.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, piggybacking off of that, I think the coming from the angle of culinary, I think same as the Potli gals. It's I was working in food and food writing and cooking before diving into cannabis. And I think coming from that perspective, one of our big goals when we launched Mellows was to really make it accessible and to really destigmatize cannabis for, just for your average consumer. And so we also, I noticed that there just seemed to be this disconnect between between kind of like the attention to detail and the sourcing and the packaging and kind of like the whole package. And so we found a really unique opportunity to really meld those two worlds and to bring that kind of like attention to flavor and presentation to the edibles world as well. We also, as far as like sourcing locally, like all of our traditional mellows are single source, right? So, shout out to Gold Seal. They've been just dear friends of ours for a long time. And, we're super proud of the fact that we are truly handcrafted in San Francisco from plant to finished product. It's like single source hash. It's like, you kind of can't get any harder than that as far as like a labor perspective, but it's important to us. And I think that it makes a difference. And so when there's so much care going into that ingredient, you really want it to be able to highlight that and let it shine. And then, as far as mellows, I get a lot of questions like, why marshmallows? And, for us, a lot of it is like the playfulness of it. We're from a culinary standpoint, we're able to really experiment with different flavor combinations. It's just such a blank slate to make anything flavored marshmallow, which is really fun for us. And also just like that nostalgia, like that nostalgic, angle of being able to treat yourself and to have something that's beautiful and fun and delightful and have it presented in a way where it's not scary, I wouldn't, by any means, I wouldn't give a super mellow to my mom, but I would definitely give her, like a box of, like beautifully presented little treats that you can bring to a dinner party or, or like a gift to mom or grandma. And so when the edibles cookbook came about as an opportunity for Karina and I think we jumped on it because it just was so in line with like one, like getting people into the kitchen, teaching people how to make edibles for themselves. And two, really just destigmatizing, it's like when you have a book that looks like it could, belong on your coffee table or in your kitchen next to, like your other cookbook collection, it just starts to break down those walls of, like that stigma that this is like a hush hush thing. This is, just opens up that conversation, and we're really excited to be furthering that conversation. And really similar to Fela and Chris, coming from an Asian household, right? To be able to have that conversation with our parents has been just amazing. It's just been it's like a cross-cultural, cross-generational bridge that we're finally starting to build around this plant.
Yeah, totally. And I think that like off of that, edibles out of every cannabis category have the highest potential to communicate this normalization and acceptance, because these are things we're already doing in our day, right? So I think it's really important to bring normalized products, more savory products, what have you, to the market, and products that spark joy and can be trusted and are sourced well, and to like really bring this opportunity to people for whether it's for self-care or for enjoying with others. So it's a really fun space to be in. I had a couple year period where I just didn't take any edibles because I didn't trust them and I didn't trust myself on them and things like that. So I think empowering people with edibles again is, across both of our brands, such an important thing. So we're at the top of the hour. I'm going to do one last chili oil pour because I made 2 more avo toasts. I'm at my parents' house right now, so I'm going to eat one and then give one to my mom, give one to my dad. Boom. So there we go. Thank you guys so much for having us and letting us co-host and have Awake and Bake. This was so fun.